So, we're seconds away from 10 o'clock and the exit poll, a first indication of how the night might unfold. More than 20,000 people took part on behalf of the BBC, ITV News and Sky in this first July election since 1945. 326 seats are needed to win. So, here we go.
And as Big Ben strikes 10, the exit poll is predicting a Labour landslide.
Sir Keir Starmer will become Prime Minister with a majority of around 170 seats.
The exit poll predicts that Labour will have captured 410 seats, adding 209. It suggests the Conservatives will have lost 241 MPs, landing on 131.
On to the other numbers. The Liberal Democrats up 53 on 61 seats. Reform on 13 seats. The SNP down 38 seats. According to this exit poll, on 10, Plaid Cymru are on 4, they're up 2, and the Greens are up 1 on 2.
All the pointers tonight are that Sir Keir Starmer is taking Labour back to power. Only the fifth Labour leader to win a general election. These are the first indications of what may unfold, but a moment of history beckons. Chris.
Blimey, just take a look and take in those numbers. The Conservative Party, so often an election-winning machine, looks pulverised tonight, taking in those numbers. At the last general election, it was Labour that was pulverised, reduced to its smallest number of seats since 1935. At the time, there was talk that Boris Johnson might serve as Prime Minister into the 2030s, and that for Labour to win by just a smidgen would require a Himalayan climb on their part. And yet you look at those numbers and they have won by a mile. What does this tell you? It tells us a lot about voter volatility. Like never before, more people in more places more often are more willing to change their minds about who they support from one election to another. That's why it looks like we went from a landslide last time for the Conservatives to a landslide for Labour this time. It is going to be quite the night.
And Chris, we should remind viewers there's a
five successive general elections. OK, well, you're looking at Big Ben now, and we are in these final seconds when everyone in the whole country, frankly, is waiting with bated breath to work out what may lie in store. Rishi Sunak called this election desperately hoping that he would be able to get a majority, and has he got it? The exit poll is here. It is predicting a Labour landslide, a Labour majority of 170. It has the Conservatives on 131 seats and Labour on 410. The Lib Dems are projected to win 61 seats, Reform on 13, with the SNP expected to secure 10. That is a simply astonishing result, record-breaking, history-making. The Tories did have, they've dropped to the lowest number of seats since 1832. I think looking at that number, that is an astonishingly low figure. Just to capture for a moment the scale of Labour's achievement, they've taken a Tory majority of notionally over 90 according to boundary changes, and we've gone in a huge swing in the other direction, potentially to a Labour majority, if this exit poll is right, of 170. The SNP has had a poor night. The Lib Dems look like they've had a very good night, and Reform has come out of nowhere, really, only coming to stand in this election, standing in most seats unexpectedly. Clearly, Rishi Sunak didn't think that was going to happen, and yet that has really clearly had a huge impact. Let's get an immediate reaction. Ed, perhaps I should start with you. This is an astonishing light. Keir Starmer must be literally, perhaps they're going to need to scrape him off the ceiling, because this is quite some result.
Look, it is Labour's biggest and best election victory ever, delivered by Keir Starmer. It's fantastic for Labour.
It's intended to be as precise as possible, and it's got a good recent track record, but it's never been more tested because we've got new boundaries. It's a snap election, so everything's had to be done a bit quicker. More parties in play out in the field. It's being tested tonight.
Lots is different, actually, and we will get into what has changed about the boundaries and the constituency names. A lot of constituency names won't sound familiar to you as we read them out, and we'll have to remind you who the previous MPs were. It's going to be quite a big one to try and catch up with, but we are in the final moments, 26, 25 seconds to go before we are allowed to reveal the results of the exit poll, which is based on asking people who, coming out of polling stations, just having voted up and down the country, what they actually did. They're asked to fill in a duplicate piece of paper and put it in a box which can then be tallied up to give us what should be an accurate result within a few seats. So it is 10 o'clock. Voting has ended in this snap election called by Rishi Sunak just 43 days ago. And we will soon be able to reveal that it is a Labour landslide being predicted by the exit poll. The catastrophe for the Conservatives. Keir Starmer becomes the 7th Labour Prime Minister in history.
So, a Labour landslide. This is your voice. This is our country deciding we've had enough. If the exit polls are right, this is a moment of radical, generational change. Keir Starmer will become the first person to lead Labour from opposition to government in 27 years. And that, for many of our viewers tonight, will be a virtual, maybe an actual lifetime.
Have seen before. 133 polling stations around Britain have been asked to duplicate their ballot. They did. This is what's happened, ladies and gentlemen. The exit poll 2024.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you can see his face in just a second. You can see how Andy has reacted.
Brilliant.
A Labour landslide and then some. Conservatives on 131 seats. Labour 410 seats. The Lib Dems on 61 seats. What a campaign he has had. Ed Davey, as I was saying to the team just yesterday, his midlife crisis coinciding with this election campaign, and it looks like he's potentially secured 61 seats for his party. As far as the SNP is concerned, I don't know how you describe it in Scotland, but we'd say in Lancashire, it looks as though they've been absolutely battered. And look at the numbers for Reform, potentially up to 13 seats. That's where some of the Conservative votes from last time will have gone. Beth Rigby, I was giving you a moment